It's a perfect night in the making here, isn't it? The sun is setting and the view must be wonderful from one of the tall sky bridges in the heart of the city, don't you think? Good evening, listeners from all over Silver Bell City. I'm back in the studio on this fine evening for the first time after my year-long hiatus. I apologize for how unannounced it was. I plan to stick around from this point forward, blessing your ears with my voice once again. I'm sure you all missed me very much. Worry not, listeners. I am always and forever a journalist at heart. I've been keeping track of the events that have been happening the entire year I was gone. It was a lot to take notes on. So, coverage of the events less spoken on publicly at the time will be sprinkled into every broadcast to catch up on things because, trust me, there is enough. There is so much. So, in the year I spent away, I was busy renovating a potion shop I purchased on the corner of Oakheld Street. Can you believe it? With this new stage in life bringing upon me an interesting change of scenery, it inspired me to return to radio. I kind of missed it anyway, so I'm glad to be back. With new stories to tell of what I see walking into my shop and new ways to hear of what goes on in our beloved city. It has been so much fun, and I've only had it for a couple of months, so. Moving on, speaking of our city, let's go ahead and kick this off with the weather. The skies are clear and there is a cool breeze blowing through the city streets tonight. The moons are in good humor, just right for the werewolf listeners who want to play in the park in this wonderful weather. I personally have a window cracked in the studio letting the breeze in already. I was told not to do this, I did not listen. But there is a frost advisory for later tonight, so bring your pups in before it gets too chilly. I already have things to share about what I see in my shop. The location couldn't be more perfect. I have such a diverse range of customers. It keeps life from being boring. I think my favorite customers are the guardian angels. There's always such an interesting and usually comical reason behind their purchase. There's one that I see every couple of weeks, sometimes only a day after his dependent has come in. Yesterday, it was a curse remedy. His dependent is quite the fireball with very little control over her abilities, as most young witches are. I remember when I was younger. Oh, I did some crazy things. I was out of control. It was bad. I gave my mother a headache a lot, so let's not talk about that right now. Another guardian angel came in looking for a love potion antidote and what I like to call liquid restraining order. It keeps a specific person 15 feet away from you no matter what the cost. And don't worry, it is not just available to the public. You have to fill out a whole application form to be approved for it. It's a big thing. It's bad if you need it. Her dependent had met a killer of all things who fell in love with her and the feelings were not mutual. Probably a good thing, if we're being real. Don't worry, the killer was detained. Everything is fine. This happened a couple weeks. He came in afterwards and updated me, so that was nice. I felt a lot better after that. I think that story was probably my favorite from a guardian angel so far, and possibly the scariest reason behind a purchase in my shop. So, on the subject of potions, I take great pride in leading the front of innovative changes in how potions are made and used. Throughout centuries, many magic users have condemned potions for being impractical in everyday use and for bringing about some unwantedly long-lasting effects, which I can understand because it takes a lot of practice to get it right and make it not last a week or last more than just an hour, so I get it. And potions have donned an awful reputation because of those who use them with malicious intent, similar to the story I just told involving the love potion antidote. It should never have gotten like that, but, I've participated in trying to make things such as love potions illegal in the parts of the world that have yet to ban the use of them. Just because there's an antidote doesn't mean it should have to be used. Potions have made things easier for those who use them in everyday life, yet have negatively impacted the lives of healthcare workers and law enforcement. Because of potion making even being legalized for the general public, it has brought about a new age in the history of law and has added some new restrictions on those who are authorized to make them. Admittedly, it is exciting to see how things are changing, and many of us are happy to be able to return to our roots and welcome back into our lives an integral part of our culture, and for some of us, even a part of our family tradition. For those unaware, that was partly why I stopped radio for the year I was away, is researching ways to combat or nullify the use of illegal potions. It's been an interesting time. Very busy. Stopping it entirely is a battle we will never win, so I sell remedies for them at low prices and provide the cures to law enforcement healthcare workers alike. The good news is, I seem to have inspired a few to help me in this, so my workload has decreased and we're on the way to having a member added to the Planet Board as head of our operation, meaning we will be officially recognized by the government as a whole movement, which is a very exciting thought. Regarding recent laws involving potions, love potions are banned in almost every province here on Mars, and in the ones where they aren't, it is considered so taboo that it's hard to find. Antidotes are more commonly available than the potions themselves. I get asked a lot as someone who works in a potion shop why love potions were so popular in the past, and funnily enough, I know why. They were used in failing marriages by marriage counselors. It was a controversial subject even back then, but was the one thing that was 100% successful for however long the potion remained active. For some, it only lasted a few months, others a few years. Or, the taker of the potion was reminded in that time why they loved their spouse, and the over-infatuation would end, but the unconditional love did not. It was because of this outcome that it was so commonly used and even could be regarded as a trend. I don't know why we ever consider that a trend, as that seems kind of shady, especially since they're illegal now. Welcome to the strange times of the past, ladies and gentlemen. It is one of my favorite things to research, when magic was new and exciting, and so we tried to incorporate it into every part of our lives. It's funny seeing how that has shaped our world today. I'll discuss more history in a future episode, rather than dump everything into this one. Speaking of history, a word from our sponsor. The Mars History Museum is opening today. Come buy your tickets now, or online. To find the website, stare into your eyes in the mirror for a very long time, inspecting the colors if you have any. The way your pupil shrinks and expands. Watch as your face begins to distort, and you become less and less like yourself. Observe the monster you become as your aura overtakes your physical form. You now see what your cat sees when it stares at you in the darkness. Wide and glowing eyes. The website link will appear before you in the mirror where you may buy your tickets, or drive to the museum itself and pay for admission tickets to enter. Located on 98761 Southwest Andromeda Street. That is 98761 Southwest Andromeda Street. How exciting, listeners! This episode back seems to be a lot about history, unintentionally. Speaking of history, there's a series of heists that are sure to be remembered all throughout it. There are reports of entire bridges just suddenly going missing on public and private properties. Bridget Miller, owner of Miller's Orchard, was furious when I called her after hearing about the recent missing bridges, and also hearing that one was missing from her property, too. She began to mumble furiously, and there was a loud crash. I'm having to figure out a makeshift bridge for me and my team to get across with the carts, and I don't know how we're going to get back without breaking the 2x4s. For context, her land for her orchard is separated almost perfectly in half by a river that was built there a very long time ago by the eco-regulators when converting the planet. Bridges going missing is certainly not something anyone can ever be prepared for. Possibly the most shocking was the bridge that goes over River Iden suddenly disappearing in a puff of smoke while there were vehicles still on it. Thankfully, only a few were hurt and no one died, but it's still incredibly shocking. The good news is there's already a disaster relief fund forming to help those who have bridges that have gone missing. Strangest thing I've heard of yet. Moving on from that, the sports season is looking just a little bit different. Local teams have been considering ways to be inclusive of all races. Fairies have long been vocal about their disappointment and the lack of consideration for them, especially in the sports field, and are excited that they are finally being heard. Recently, the Fae have apparently taken an interest in baseball specifically. When I spoke with Trevor Banks, manager of our local team, the Fire Cranes, he said, I don't see any way to include them in baseball. With a stressed tug on his hair, he continued, I'm trying my hardest, and I'm sure they can use that magic of theirs, but how else am I to say it? They're not even the size of a baseball. Well, I have to agree, it is a bit concerning that they would like to participate in a sport so seemingly dangerous to them, but I think you should let them try. Some of our best players didn't even look like they had a chance. For the older listeners who will probably remember this, a good example would be Henrietta Okel, the first mermaid on our hockey team, the Speedy Wallabies. Everyone told her it was impossible, and yet her floundering brought us to be up in the first place for the nationals. Ah, the good old days. Speaking of sports, returning to the topic of potions for a bit, there's some controversy over whether or not it is acceptable for sports teams to use them. Some teams do, and others swear against it, and even ridicule the teams that use them. There are quite a few hot takes on whether or not it should be considered cheating. Potions can only do so much, but has also proven to increase the team's performance when they are used. You can't expect every team on the planet to use them. You just can't force them to. But you also can't force the teams that are to stop using them. It's unheard of. Something I think we're going to see more often, especially after the recent match between the Speedy Wallabies and the Lightning Badgers, is the event managers and stadiums setting rules against or for the use as a condition for hosting the event. The Lightning Badgers had to fold and leave the potions at home to take part in the event recently. Despite not using them, they put up quite a fight during the match. As more uses are found for potions in all things in life, I think we will find that things like this will happen more commonly in the very near future. Exciting and different times are coming indeed. Perfect for my time in radio, I must say. I've always had a lot to talk about. I was just passed a note. Apparently the bridge that suddenly disappeared in a puff of smoke is entirely unrelated to the other incidents of bridges going missing. Somehow there are 2 separate bridge thieves, one of which will quite literally take it out from under your nose. I suppose if you know anything about either of these 2 separate matters, report to law enforcement immediately by dialing the Missing Bridge Hotline 121314. That is 121314. Alright. Well, I suppose I will report more on this matter the next time I'm in the studio. For now, though, it's getting late. The street lamps are on, and the frost will be setting in soon. The world will continue to turn until the sun rises once again. You, listener, wherever you are, rest easy when it is time to sleep. You'll hear from me again soon. Good night. Thank you so much for watching the first episode of possibly my biggest project yet. It has been crazy, the amount of hours I've put into this thing. The things you do for a dream, right? I just got done recording the lines that are from a script, and hopefully, as this goes on, I will get even better at voicing them. For now, this is the end bit that's going to be at the end of every episode where we talk about it and some of the things in there that I need to mention. All of the artwork is done by me. The base is done in The Sims, also built by me. I call it being resourceful, not cheating. So don't at me. I'm tired. The voices are done by me. I just got done recording, I forgot to mention. The background music is also done by me. So yeah. It's all just me so far. I wrote the script as well, so please support me. It would mean the world to me. A way that you can is there will be a link in the Buy Me a Coffee down in the description. So yeah, I take commissions. Understand that until I get better at perspective, unless you want the shittiest drawing of a room ever, I will have to, if you want a full scene like you saw in this video, I will need to build it in The Sims. So, or you can build it yourself and send me a picture. I don't care. That's something to work out if you do commission me. Anyway, moving on. Thank you so much for watching. This thing has taken me a stupid amount of time. I need to turn off my glasses that I was using to read. And I really, really hope you enjoyed it. I can make no promises when the next one comes out, but I can guarantee you that I'm probably working on it literally as soon as this goes up. So, if not beforehand. Anyway. Yeah. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.